Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Walk of the Dog Cinema. And here we have the Roca girl going on her walk for the day. And today we're going to talk about, we're still in epic movies, long ones. I'm going to do the whole run of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And we're going to start with it's not the first one, but within chronological it is. We're going to discuss The Hobbit, Unexpected Journey, and get into that one. So, as you can see, the Roca wants to go and get her walk in, so let's enjoy the ride. So, it's been crazy. We're dealing with lots of rain this past week, so I haven't been able to get in a talk or trying to get the dog walked in between rainstorms and everything going our way. But I did get in the first Hobbit movie. This is the extended edition. It's not the theatrical version of it. Not that I dislike the theatrical, but like all of Peter Jackson's stuff concerning Lord of the Rings, I only watched the extended versions. I have all the Blu-ray with the same bordering and everything else like that. Call me crazy within that, but I like how it looks on my shelves with that stuff. So yeah, but I'm gonna get it right out, and I like all 6 movies, so take it for what you want on all that. If I'm gonna rank them, Two Towers is my favorite of them, and I actually like this Hobbit better than Return of the King. So if you think I'm crazy about that, then so be it. But this is kind of the middle of the road for me within that regard. As a movie, it's got some really great stuff in it, and then it's got some stuff that obviously I just don't care about. But overall, it's a fun ride. I find all 6 films fun. To me, they don't ever bog down, but specifically Unexpected, I like the build up in this one. I like meeting all the dwarves at the beginning. I like Martin Freeman, who does Bilbo in this one, and it's been probably 2-3 years since I've watched this version of it. Normally I try to watch Lord of the Rings once a year, but I kind of bounce back and forth within it, and I'll watch the cartoon ones, basically The Hobbit, which I love, the Rankin and Bass one, and then I'll watch Baskey's Lord of the Rings, and then I finish off with Rankin and Bass's Return of the King. And they're not close to Peter Jackson's versions, but again, fun nothing less. And there's things to say about even that, above and beyond. Big Lord of the Rings fan within that. And the crazy thing is I didn't actually read the Lord of the Ring books until I was an adult. I could never get into them per se when I was a younger guy, but I did read The Hobbit. I've read that book probably 3 times. The Hobbit's an amazing book. I love that book. It's Tolkien's best writing by far in terms of how he wrote it. I have my issues with with the Lord of the Rings. Fellowship is a good book, but there's a lot about the plants and the trees and just the walking and just all of that crazy stuff. 2 Towers is an amazing book also. It's right up there with The Hobbit. And then Return of the King is a great first 100 pages. And then for me, next 300 pages or so are just mind-numbingly boring. Not much happens except not even political intrigue, but just the lives of what's going on. And then it has a slam-bang ending with the hobbits dealing with Saruman and Wormtongue. So, taking that all into account, it does reflect in how I view the movies. And I'm going to say I'm not like the purest of purists anymore. I used to be kind of that way with books and translations to movies and things like that. As long as it captures the spirit, the characters, and I understand film enough to see why changes may be done at times, and so that kind of reflects on how I feel about like The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, the changes that Peter Jackson did. And it's very much Peter Jackson's version of Tolkien's universe. And take it or leave it, whether you like it or not. I have things that I don't like that he does in them. But then I have things that I wouldn't even think of changing, but he does, that I really do like. So there are those factors. But again, I enjoy The Hobbit. This is kind of like third or fourth of the 6 for me. Unexpected Journey. I love how it sets up the beginning in terms of dealing with the Lord of the Rings. Obviously, Lord of the Rings came first, so Peter Jackson does a great job of kind of weaving in how this is gonna set up Lord of the Rings. I really like the whole thing with Bilbo being old and he's gonna write his memoirs basically, and then we get Frodo going off to see Gandalf, which will lead to the Lord of the Rings and all that. So that's fun. Ian McKellen reprising his role as Gandalf. Again, there's gonna probably be spoilers in all of this, so just mind that if you're up for it. Spoiler warning as we move through here now. Getting reintroduced to Gandalf, Ian McKellen. He does look older than when he did Gandalf for Lord of the Rings. At times, looks a little bit more tired. That part of it, I get they can't really do much with. They already rely too much with CGI with the Hobbit trilogy compared to Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson has he kind of wanted to use the technology at the time. He filmed it all in higher frame rate, which I think was a huge mistake, and I think that's what a lot of people, without thinking about it, I mean, I know there's plot things and things that people get pissed off about, but a lot of the CGI and the effects and all of that, I saw all 3 in the theater at high frame rate, and oh man, you want to talk about just making the movie just look god awful bad. But the crazy thing is on Blu-ray and the extended versions, I don't know if he fixed it or whatever, but it doesn't look nearly as bad. You take your TV off and you put it in cinema mode without all the high frame rate stuff, you don't get that weird waxy look of everything. And the movie actually then doesn't get you pulled out of it. And when you really focus on it, it does a really good job with the world still and the movie and all the beats of the book, and the great scenes in the book are all there, done magnificently. And so so I like all that, but the reliance on CGI just is a shame. I think Peter Jackson should have trusted himself a little bit more with the practical stuff and really gone for that. I don't like, that I'm getting all kind of the stuff I don't like about the thing as I talk. Then I'll talk about the stuff I do like. But that especially, and then the choice to kind of make the dwarves really agile, like with the dinner scene where they're throwing the pots and plates. I love the music to kind of incorporate, Tolkien had that in his books. I love that. We see the singing of the dwarves and their talk about all that. And, it's great character build up. We kind of get an idea of who these dwarves are. Thorin Oakenshield is a great character. Richard Armitage does a great job building that character. He's a great Thorin, I think. And he has a lot of gravitas in it. Martin Freeman's great as Bilbo. I mean, just wonderful as Bilbo. I can't complain, and it really, fits with that. But I don't like that the dwarves are too agile. They should be heftier and bulkier at times, and they come off like elves, and I just, that part of it I don't like. But they're a fun troop, and so there's that. And and the over reliance on CGI is just isn't good. So getting those quibbles out of the way, like I said, I love, we get the introduction of the dwarves, and I dig that. It is a great scene for me. I love Gandalf in it, and how he convinces Bilbo to come along with the dwarves. It's kind of funny. We get kind of set up that the dwarves are a little bit inept with we get to the troll scene, which is great in the book. One of the great scenes in the book. And actually, I really love the scene in the movie, and it's really well done. Martin Freeman does a great job. Like I said, Bilbo, it's well shot. And again, I like that they use darkness within it to cover up the fact that the trolls aren't real. But that one does feel real to me. And, you get a cool little fight with the dwarves. Like I said, they're still a little too agile in that scene for me. And that's what I'm saying. They're sliding underneath the trolls' legs and doing these fancy maneuvers. And for me, dwarves are, mash 'em and bash 'em kind of people within even Middle Earth. They're, axes and hammers, and they're miners, and they're gruff and tough, and, got a lot of willpower and headstrong. And I want to see them fight that way, where this one, they're a little bit too floopy and doopy. Like I said, like elves. So, but overall, the scene's really good. And we get the introduction with the weapons, and, Sting, and, the foe hammer and all, that for Gandalf. And I really like that. And then we get the kind of addition where Dol Guldur is introduced with the necromancer, which is Sauron getting kind of reborn here, and Thorin's dad being held captive all these years, Oakenshield, and that's the main dwarf prince. And we get some of the background, with not at this point, I'm sorry, but we get some background on that. We get kind of a reintroduction of Saruman with Christopher Lee and Elrond and Galadriel, Kate Blanchett. And it's kind of a member-berry scene on one level, but all four are such experts at what they do that the scene works. Doesn't work completely, but it works on very many levels. We get that within this, Galadriel had something with Gandalf at one time. They can speak to each other, through telepathy and whatnot, and it's cute, and they have enough chemistry to carry it. Kate Blanchett and Ian McKellen, and I don't inherently like Saruman's take in this sequence. He's already kind of seems corrupted, and it's played as such that he's already kind of on Sauron's side. That's how it almost feels. But the scene still works. I think it could have been done better. But it sets up this other subplot, so when Gandalf disappears in the movies, it kind of sets up what he's doing. Whereas in the books, it really doesn't talk about it too much, And, I know the biggest gripe is that the book's only like 300 pages, and it's 3 movies. And for me, I actually don't mind that. A lot happens in the book, even in those 300 pages. And I contend that Lord of the Rings, even though it's 1,000 pages in 3 different books, not nearly as much happens per se in the grand scope of that book, in those books, as in The Hobbit on one level. And that's how I always remember the books. And that's what was always my frustration with the Lord of the Rings. And so the 3 movies on that level do a fine job doing the book. And yes, he expanded it all, and we could probably argue it probably should have only been 2 movies. They expanded it to 3. The Tolkien estate wanted it 3 also. And why not stay in the universe, right? And you can say it's a money grab and all that stuff, but I think Peter Jackson does a pretty good job extending it out. And all the gripes about that, I can understand what people say, but at the same time, like I said, I think people are a little bit off. There's a lot of walking in in the Fellowship of the Ring. Lots of it in the book. I mean, just seems like pages and pages of it. Could be wrong, but that's how I remember it. The movie does kind of a good job condensing all that. And in reality, to me, not a lot happens in that first book. It's introduction to characters and stuff. And the movie captured that. Well, same thing here. We get that. The trolls. We get them being hunted down by the orcs, and then they go to Rivendell. And I like how Peter Jackson lets these scenes breathe. There is a little bit of over-reliance again with the CGI of giving these great vistas, and they're kind of like glory shots and all that to make us ooh ah. George Lucas fell into this trap with the prequels for Star Wars, because we've been in the universe a lot, and I get that you're kind of making it as each movie, but some of that it's excessive, so it needed to be trimmed down. Pace doesn't kill the pace, but you can really see he's kind of it's not as needed, because it just comes off CGI-ish, and those are my other little quibbles that bring the movie down. Could have been tightened up in that regard, and if it was, it wouldn't be as bad. Then we get to where they take off, kind of leave Gandalf to do his thing, and we get to where they go to Goblin Town, captured, and we get the great sequence that happens in the book, the meeting of Gollum. Bilbo gets the ring. We didn't know that at the time in the book, but we do here in the movie for sure. But gets the one ring, and they have a great battle of wits. And I'm gonna say that the scene is the best scene in the whole movie by far. And it's just, Andy Serkis is great as Gollum, and one of the best CGI characters ever done. And they still have it here, and a lot of it is because it's kept in the dark. From Gollum just doesn't ever look fake, and there's just so much personality with that character, and you can tell Peter Jackson loves the character. And Andy Serkis, he embodies it, right? And so it's a well done scene. I love it. That scene, I always dig seeing it. Both versions, even the cartoon versions, is awesome. But I dig that. We get the big battle of Goblin Town with the dwarves getting out of it. Again, too reliant on CGI. It's a fun sequence. I'm not going to say it's not. It's rousing. It's action-packed. Not a little ridiculous. But, I just go along with it. Like I said, it's just all these little quibbles. I think they could have tightened it up and not made it as grand as it looks and things like that, and kept it a little bit tighter in corridors maybe or something. But the overall plotting of it all is well done. I like the Goblin King. He's hideously funny in this kind of nice ironic way. But I like their little song at the beginning when they come in. But overall, it does follow the Fellowship of the Ring a lot in terms of how they dealt with it in the script wise and things, the beats of it. Then we get outside when they get away. We have a really heartfelt moment with Thorin and Bilbo, which earns its build up through this whole process. I really do. They really build up how Bilbo wasn't ready for this, or he kind of was, but he wasn't sure of himself, and he's built into being this adventurous hobbit. And I think the movie does a really good job of building all that up. It doesn't just jump into it. It takes its time getting us there in the 3 hours that we have with the extended edition. And and we get a nice look at who Thorin is. Now, the biggest misstep of the whole movie, though, and this Azog orc, white pale orc, I love the concept. I really do. Yes, he's not part of the book. It's not part of any kind of thought process. I get why Peter Jackson did it, but what a horrible CGI character, especially when he's around some of the orcs that are real in those scenes. Man, it's such a cool concept, but it's pulled off so horrible. And though I like the scene because the eagles come and the fire, just that character just drives me nuts. And I get it. It hampers like Battle of the Five Armies, especially when the next one, was Smog. And that's the thing, the lead up into building into Smog, and we get the end about them seeing the Misty Mountain, and you see that last shot of Erebor, the Misty Mountain, the Lonely Mountain and all that, and you're just like, whoa, what a great shot. It transports you to Middle Earth. And you just had this Azog character that just, man, if they could just scrap that character and just have it the orcs, and it'd been fine. But I get it, he wanted to build more gravitas for Thorin, but they should have really had a real human just dressed as an orc or something, and it'd have been so much better. Even the quibble that the character doesn't exist. So overall, if you've never given the Hobbits the chance, kind of rewatch it again. Think of it, if you can't get past the book problems, you're never gonna get past it anyhow. It's gonna drive you nuts, I get it. But I learned I had to kind of ditch some of that stuff. One of my favorite books, The Shining, you see Stanley Kubrick's movie, it didn't even anywhere close to the book. And so, you had to learn within that. I read Jurassic Park before I ever saw the movie. And if you ever see read the book and all that, then, you'd have different thoughts. And quite a bit of that happens with like Stephen King stuff. All authors in some degree. And so kind of learned to teach myself, what's the spirit of the book and the characters and what they stand for. And if they keep that tight and real, then maybe we have something here to go along with the ride. And I just say go along with the ride. It's always great to be back in Middle Earth. The movies are fun, at least for me. And so, give it another try if you haven't. But otherwise, I get it. But enjoy this whole run of Lord of the Rings, and I'll talk to you again. Bye.